Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. So today right here, we're going to be having a more of like a casual conversation here and take a look at where the flagship killers are heading in this year's direction. So on my left here, I actually have a very interesting device that I've not been using for quite some time now. This is the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE 5G version. And on my right here, I have the very famous Poco F3. So both devices right here are actually one of the best flagship killers of 2021 as well as 2020. We don't want to forget about that. So in this video, it's really more about just comparing both devices here side by side, whether you should actually buy the Poco F3 today or still go for the Samsung S20 FE 5G. Alright, so both devices here actually cost very different. If you don't already know, the Poco F3 here is retailing for about 1,700 ringgit here in Malaysia, and the Samsung S20 FE over here is retailing close to 3,000 ringgit. So that's a huge difference between the Poco F3 right there compared to the S20 FE 5G. Bear in mind, both versions here are the 5G versions. The S20 FE 4G is much cheaper, but I'm comparing both these devices here because both of these are 5G related. Alright, so let's see what you do get for the money and whether, again, you should pick the Poco or the S20 FE 5G. Right, so just starting up, we'll talk a little bit about design. And I think I've mentioned a couple of times now, the Poco F3 looks just like that. It's got a really reflective back if you choose the black version. But of course, there's also the white and the blue version that looks a little bit more different, not so reflective. And in this video here, you can see that this is what you get with the Poco F3. Very decent design, I would say here, but I would have preferred something that is not so reflective, so it doesn't capture that much fingerprint. So this is what you get with the Poco F3 right here. In terms of the Galaxy S20 FE, I do notice that this is actually a little bit more towards my liking because of that very smooth back panel. But if you ask me, it also does look a bit bland right here. So really, it's up to you to decide whether you prefer the design of the Poco F3 or the Samsung S20 FE. Let me know now in the comment section below which you actually prefer. Do you like the reflective back panel of the Poco, or do you like the matte materials of the Samsung device right here? Alright, so flipping the device to the front, this is where it gets a little bit different. Obviously, if you see it side by side like that, notice that the Poco device is just a bit slightly larger compared to the Samsung S20 FE right here. And both are actually using Super AMOLED displays with 120Hz refresh rate. So very nice displays right here. Everything is smooth and fluid on both devices. Of course, Samsung makes the best AMOLED displays. So even though this was launched last year, it's still having an awesome display. And I have nothing to complain about for both devices right here in terms of the display. The quality is just awesome. There's nothing much to complain about here really. And the viewing angles are all really good. Contrast levels, saturation levels, even the viewing angles, like I mentioned, is really, really nice. You can go all the way to the sides and can still see the images very clearly and sharp. So thumbs up to that. But just bear in mind that the Poco's display is just that slight bit larger compared to the Samsung S20 FE right there. Alright, now let's talk about power. What's powering both devices? So obviously the Samsung S20 FE was launched last year and that came with the Snapdragon 865, which everyone was very happy about. But today along came the Poco F3 with a more powerful processor. So it's rocking the Snapdragon 870, which is based on benchmark scores alone 10% slightly more powerful compared to the Samsung S20 right here. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly take my device right here and show you what kind of scores you can get in terms of the benchmarks. So I've run the 3D Mark right here, which actually is a very good representation of gamers and see how it performs under stress test. So just going to pull my other Poco F3 right here because this is already showing it. So I'm just going to show you my results right here and just take a look at the wildlife results right here. In terms of the score, we're getting 4,200 on the Poco device compared to just 3,700 on the Samsung S20 FE. So already it's a little bit less powerful compared to the Poco, obviously because of that processor difference. But if you go to the wildlife stress test, bear in mind, let's just tap this right here. Notice that both devices here are actually very consistent in terms of the performance it's providing. The stability is 99% for both devices right here. That means if you take these devices and play like graphic heavy games, like let's say for Genshin Impact or something like that, you can expect the performance to be very similar even though you play games for a very long period of time. So the consistency between the performance in both devices here are actually very good, but just bear in mind that the Poco is just slightly ahead with that additional 10% more power. Okay, going to put that down for now. In terms of actual day-to-day use, we both have 8GB of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal memory for both devices right here. So it's pretty much the same thing. Again, in terms of day-to-day performance, it is both very smooth and fluid in terms of your social media, your Facebook, you know, your YouTube and all that. Browsing, everything is just perfectly fine here. But again, you must give the slight edge to the Poco right here because it's just rocking that slightly faster processor right there. Apart from that, I must also mention that the Poco device right here comes with the 360Hz sampling rate, so it does feel a little bit more sensitive towards each touch and interaction with the device itself. So overall, I would say in terms of just a user experience, I would say it is slightly that bit more smoother on the Poco F3 right here. Alright, enough about performance. Let's talk a little bit about the... Oops, sorry about that, something is boiling. Alright, so enough about performance. Let's talk a little bit about the cameras on the back here. So both devices here sport 3 cameras or 3 sensors, if you may. So on the Poco device, we have a 48 megapixel main, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 5 megapixel macro. We do not have a telephoto lens there. So it's a bit different on the Samsung S20 FE. We do get a 12 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 8 megapixel telephoto, if I remember my numbers correctly. So you do get a telephoto lens on the Samsung, whereas you get a macro lens on the Poco device right here. But all those are just numbers, guys. I've taken quite a few pictures with both devices right here so I can show a comparison to you guys. So I'll let you be the judge and check out these daylight images, night images, and tell me which you actually prefer in terms whether it is the Poco that you think it comes out on top, or is it the Samsung S20 FE that comes up on top. So check out these images and let me know down in the comment section below. Alright, so now that we're done talking about the cameras, let's talk very quickly about the battery that came in these devices right here. So both devices right here actually comes with a decent battery that is able to last 1 day on a single charge for sure. They both also come with chargers in the box, so no worries about that. And really, I have no issues with the batteries itself. They both are great. Alright, so if you're not a gamer and you are able to stretch your battery life a little bit more, I would say that the slight edge actually goes to the Samsung S20 FE right here, just in terms of battery life, because I noticed that the screen on time was about 30 minutes to 1 hour more than the Poco F3 right there. So just bear that in mind. Alright, last but not least, before we go, let's talk a little bit about those stereo speakers. So both devices here come with stereo speakers on the top and at the bottom. I must say that the audio quality coming from both devices are actually pretty good, and I can't really show the audio experience right here, but I am going to play a quick clip because I know some of you guys might want to hear that. So let's go into the non-copyright music right there. So that was the Poco right there from my hand distance, and let's check out the one on the Samsung. Alright guys, honestly speaking, from my distance right here, the audio for both devices are actually pretty equal. I would say that the bass, the crispiness of the audio is actually very good right here for smartphones, especially in 2021. And yes, I must say that I must give it a tie for both devices here in terms of audio quality. At max volume, they both sound almost the same in terms of volume and as well as the audio quality. So definitely giving a thumbs up there. We both don't have headphone jacks for both devices right here, so you can forget about that. But yeah, we have great speakers on board right here. Alright guys, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Again, this is just a quick look at whether you should check out the F3 today or the Samsung S20 FE 5G if you are looking for like a flagship killer that you would want to last a couple of years from today onwards. So yeah, let me know guys, would you prefer to go for the 1,700 ringgit Poco F3, or would you be actually willing to spend another 1,300 ringgit more and get the close to 3,000 ringgit Samsung S20 FE right here? Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!